What's up guys, my name is Kelsey and I recently flew from Cambodia back to America. You're probably wondering, what's it like flying back to America from Cambodia? Well, I'll explain it to you in this video. So the structure for this video is gonna look like this. First, we're gonna talk about the health documents that you need. Number 2, we'll talk about my experience in the Cambodian airport. And number 3, we'll talk about my experience in the Korean airport. I had like a 12-hour layover in Korea before I got back to America. So let's get to it. So in regards to health documents that you need, I honestly found it really difficult to find information about this. So the first thing I did was that I called the Ministry of Health in Cambodia to make sure that I didn't need any health documents. But what they ended up doing was they told me to call the Khmer US Embassy because I'm a US citizen and they weren't sure what the policies were. So I called the US Khmer Embassy and they said, no, I don't need anything. I only need to have my temperature checked at the airport. However, please be aware if you're flying to Cambodia, there are different requirements. According to the Khmer US Embassy, for people who are coming into Cambodia, this is the standard. All travelers entering Cambodia must possess a medical certificate indicating a negative status issued no more than 72 hours prior to the date of travel and proof of medical insurance coverage of at least $50,000. Wow. Upon arrival in Cambodia, all travelers must undergo a test and wait to receive laboratory results. In the event one or more travelers test positive for all accompanied passengers will be subject to a 14-day quarantine at a location designated by Cambodian authorities. If all travelers test negative, health authorities will ask travelers to self-isolate for 14 days at their home under supervision of local authorities and health officials. Health authorities will then oversee another test on the 14th day of self-isolation. To help you guys understand my background information a little bit more, I'll provide you with 2 details. I moved to Cambodia after graduating college a year ago, and I have been working as a consultant in Cambodia for about 9 months. If you guys want more information on why I moved to Cambodia after college, I have a video here, why I moved to Cambodia after college, and the link is also in the description below. I'm a US citizen, but I have a K visa. And a K visa in Cambodia basically is that I can live in Cambodia as long as I want because my parents were both originally born in Cambodia, but they immigrated to the US later on. So what I ended up doing is I bought a ticket from Korean Airlines in order to return to the US from Cambodia. And now there are only 2 airlines that I think flies about 2 times a week out of Cambodia back to America. First being Korean Airlines and second being Asian Airlines. Okay, so let's now move on to my experience at the Cambodian airport. Honestly, like surprisingly, the airport in Cambodia was super crowded. If you take a look at the footage here, it was pretty packed. And to my surprise, there were a lot of people in the airport wearing a full-on white medical suit. I'm not sure if they were working there or if they were leaving Cambodia. When I was waiting to check my luggage in, there was a lady who was basically scanning everybody's temperature with like a gun. After I checked my luggage in, I waited like an hour or so for my plane to depart. When I actually sat down in the plane, we had another like 20-minute delay. The delay was the result of they were like deplaning somebody. They had to have someone removed from the airplane. I'm not sure what the reason for that was. I honestly don't know why they had to deplane somebody. They didn't announce why. They just said they were sorry, we're gonna have a delay, we need to deplane somebody. During my airplane ride back to America from Cambodia, the plane itself was pretty crowded. There were a lot of foreigners trying to get out of Cambodia, and just by like kind of like listening to their accents and the kind of phrases that they were using, I'm guessing they were Australian. There was one guy who like screamed during like the middle of the flight. He said the F word and he said the word cunt. And I'm like, sounds Australian. I don't think I've ever heard anyone in America said cunt. So I was just like, yeah, you gotta be Australian. All of the flight attendants, they wore like some kind of like eye protective glasses, and they also wore the mask as well as like a white gown on top of their flight attendant uniform. I think the contrast in protective gear amongst the passengers was the most interesting part to me. The guy next to me, he was wearing a face mask as well as a face shield, and he also was wearing gloves. and basically everything he touched, he like sprayed alcohol before. He was like pew 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 pew. It's just really fun to watch and fun to see. I feel like watching him, I don't think I was prepared enough. I was like, wow, shame on myself. I'm a biology major, I should do better than this. But all I had was a face mask. I know, that's really bad of me. And then the lady in the front row of me, she had like she was wearing like, you know, like a raincoat, the ones that you can throw away. It was like the plastic yellow ones. She was wearing that and some gloves and a mask. I was like, wow. And then, oh my god, the guy who was sitting next to me, he was like an old man. Oh god, he was kind of annoying, to be honest. He asked the flight attendant for some alcohol, and then the lady told him, she was like, sorry, we don't serve any now because of the... And then like, I guess he was like kind of mad because like throughout the whole flight he was just like muttering the F word the whole time, and I was just like, god damn, y'all should just give him some alcohol to sedate him, because like he was just being annoying. So before reaching Korea, in the plane they gave like this like health form that you're supposed to fill out. This is how it looks like, and basically it just asks you like if you had any symptoms: fever, diarrhea, coughing, sneezing, stuff like that. So after Cambodia, I had a 12-hour layover in Korea. When you get to Korea, you basically hand the health form to this official, and then while you're handing that form in, they ask you some questions about your health again, and they scan your temperature. And then after you hand the health form in, they give you like this like quarantine certificate. This is how it looks like. And then once you receive this like quarantine certificate, you walk into the security check-in. This is the point where you have your like carry-on checked in. Before you even reach security, you have to get questioned again. And basically they ask you the same questions like, have you had any symptoms of blah 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 blah. So I had a 12-hour layover in Korea. The airport in Korea was honestly very empty. Like, I was so bored, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, all the restaurants were closed because of, you know? So I was just like, man, I'm like bored and hungry. They closed down all of the water fountains because of... I was just like, man, I'm gonna die of dehydration first before I get anything. Because usually when I go to airports, I like carry like a big like water bottle, like, you know, like those thermos water bottles, so I can like save money and not buy like $5 water bottles. So I was just like, damn, I'm gonna go broke and dehydrated. Oh, such a sad time. At the airport, they had like this like cute little robot just like strolling around telling you how to take care of yourself, but like I approached it and then like it just like walked away from me. I was just like,
Check out the preventive measures regarding novel coronavirus infection and travel safely. 선생님 괜찮았나요? 저는 밤에만 있어서 심심해요. I am a bit worried. I am only ever in skies.
even this robot don't like me, man. No, I was so sad. So during my airplane ride from Korea back to America, the plane was pretty empty. Like, so much more empty compared to the plane ride to Korea from Cambodia. A lot of the aisle seats were empty. They only had like one person sitting there. For me, I was sitting in the middle row, so there was one person who is like, you know how there's like 3 seats? I was on the edge, there's another person on the edge, and there was no one in the middle. This was my first time flying Korean Airlines. Usually I fly China Airlines because it's cheaper, but I had to fly Korean Airlines this time. And the food, honestly, the food was so good in Korean Airlines. They had like bibimbap. I was like, god damn, if I had the money, I would fly on this airlines again. Also, I found it really funny that they used like a K-pop group to explain the safety procedures. I was like, wow, this is a really good creative way to get people to watch this stuff, because like usually, honestly, I don't watch it, but like, wow, I was so enticed. They used like, I think EXO or something, I'm not sure who it was. When I finally got to the LAX port, it was empty. There was like no one there. Here's footage of as well, and my parents who picked me up. Thanks, mom and dad. After flying back to America from Cambodia, in particular, I flew back to LAX, Los Angeles airport. There was surprisingly no mandatory 14-day quarantine. It was like, it's all voluntary. So as of right now, I am voluntarily staying at home for 14 days. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and for my next video, it's gonna be tips on living in Cambodia. Alright, peace!